What up, what up, what up, what up? It's me, L Teddy 27.
Good night, right about the hood.
Oh, dear God, I'm already eating a drink. Look a damn mess, just a damn mess. No means no, and yes means no. What up, what up, what up, what up, what up, what up, what up? What's good, people? What's up? What's up? It's Sunday morning. What is up? Y'all should be up. It's me, L Teddy 27. I'm back, and we are here for another Sunday. This is our NFL fantasy football week 3 must starts. We're going to get on right down to it. You know, I kind of felt, I talked to a couple people that watch and follow and, you know, go with my picks. And I started off, saying, I'm sorry because a lot of people that I picked, that I thought I picked last week, seem to be getting hit with the injury bug at the last minute or during the game. And the last thing you want is for me to give you somebody and they end up getting hurt or, so always watch, the injury wire and always make sure you are, tuned in on who is and is not going to start. That usually comes out around 11:30 Eastern. Every Sunday morning you get, your who's starting, who's not, who's, doubtful and all of that stuff and who's out for the game. So make sure you follow that every Sunday morning after you watch my picks. So if you need to pick someone else, you can go ahead and do that. But yeah, we're going to go ahead and get started. Hope my tie looks all right. I always say that every week and it turns out okay. So anyway, y'all, so if I messed you up last week, I'm sorry, but I felt like, I could have did better last week. Anyway, let's get going with week 3. So here's our week 3 starts for QBs. Now I will say of all my picks this week, my QBs are the ones that I'm the most tenuous on. But anyway, we're going to start off with Mitch Trubisky. Now, Mitch Trubisky, if you look and search starts and sit, you're going to see Mitch Trubisky all over the place as the start of the week for everyone. I'm not as sold on Mitch Trubisky. I'm going to include him because I don't want to not tell you Mitch Trubisky, knowing he has a great matchup. Mitch Trubisky of the Chicago Bears is going to be at Atlanta, which is a great matchup for any quarterback because Atlanta gives up a lot of points to opposing quarterbacks. But this is Mitchell Trubisky we're talking about and the Chicago Bears, and you can't count on them to do anything. I don't even count on Mitch Trubisky to put on his uniform correctly. So I'm going to put him there. You can start him because he has a very favorable matchup against the Atlanta Falcons, but it's Mitch Trubisky. So we'll leave that at that. I also like Teddy Bridgewater. Now, a lot of people don't like Teddy Bridgewater of the Carolina Panthers this week and they're going to be at Los Angeles Chargers. I like Teddy Bridgewater. I figure that Teddy Bridgewater will have a solid game. So I'm looking for Teddy Bridgewater to give you about 15 points this week. Anywhere from 13 to 15 points this week, which is pretty good. If Teddy Bridgewater is your main starter, that means that you probably did something wrong in your fantasy league because you could have gotten a much better starter later in your fantasy draft. But in a pinch, maybe somebody gets hurt, draft a Teddy Bridgewater. I figure him to do well this week and be a factor. My sleeper of the week is going to be Ryan Tannehill. People, when they think, okay, who do I want to have as my starting quarterback, maybe in a daily fantasy football league like FanDuel or DraftKings, you're never thinking about Ryan Tannehill. But I look for Ryan Tannehill to have a great matchup this week. Ryan Tannehill of the Tennessee Titans will be at Minnesota. Minnesota can't stop a nosebleed in that secondary this year. So I look for Ryan Tannehill, and they're going to be stacking 8 in the box to stop Derrick Henry. Every team that goes against Tennessee is afraid of what Derrick Henry can do. So look for Ryan Tannehill to have moments where he can, chuck the ball down the field and get you some quality points there. For our tight ends this week, I like and from week to week, all of our tight ends, whether or not I say they're a sleeper or not, all the tight ends could be considered a sleeper because tight ends are few and far between and they're so hard. I mean, the gap between the top tier and the next tier of tight ends is so wide that anything outside of the top tier is a sleeper anyway. So I like Noah Fant of the Denver Broncos, and they're going to be at home versus Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay is giving up points versus opposing tight ends, so I like that matchup. I like Eric Ebron of the Pittsburgh Steelers versus Houston Texans. Houston Texans, they reserve the middle of the field for their run defense, so that gives up pockets for opposing tight ends. And opposing tight ends have done well against the Houston Texans. So I like Eric Ebron to do well this week. And for my sleeper this week, I like Logan Thomas of the Washington football team. And they'll be playing against the Cleveland Browns. It's the Cleveland Browns. Need I say more? Anyway, so Logan Thomas, I like him as a sleeper. For our running backs this week, I like Kenyon Drake of the Arizona Cardinals. He's going to be at home versus Detroit. It's Detroit. Detroit, I think I told y'all last week, I can go out there and play on Detroit's defense, which is so baffling because Matt Patricia is supposed to be a defensive coach coming out of New England as their defensive coordinator, and their defense is atrocious. It's horrible. So I like Kenyon Drake at home versus Detroit. I like Jerick McKinnon. Now, Raheem Mostert is dealing with injuries, and Tevin Coleman is dealing with injuries for my beloved 49ers. So somebody's got to get the ball. I figure Jerick McKinnon to be the recipient of most of the touches this week for my 49ers, and they're going to be at the New York Giants. And I like David Montgomery of the Chicago Bears. They're going to be at Atlanta. If Mitch Trubisky doesn't do what he needs to do, look for David Montgomery to be the one that is the recipient of the football a lot. I just don't trust Mitch Trubisky like I want to. But Chicago is going to be at Atlanta. Our sleeper for our running backs this week is going to be Joshua Kelly of the Los Angeles Chargers. Y'all see I'm getting better with saying Los Angeles Chargers as opposed to San Diego Chargers. Anyway, Joshua Kelly of the Los Angeles Chargers. They're going to be at home versus Carolina. That defensive front of Carolina is not as formidable as it used to be in years past. So look for Joshua Kelly to be sneaky good, to be a good sleeper this week for the Los Angeles Chargers. I know you got Austin Eckler out there. I know you're going to tell me, but what about Austin Eckler? Yes, but I figure if you are looking for maybe you are in a league that uses three running backs, or you might need a flex. I like, for some reason, I got a hunch on Joshua Kelly to take touches away from Austin Eckler. For our wide receivers this week, we have A.J. Brown of the Tennessee Titans. Like I told you, I look to see Ryan Tannehill having a lot of opportunities out there. They're going to be stacking 8 in the box to stop Derrick Henry, and the secondary for Minnesota is awful. So Tennessee Titans are at Minnesota. I like A.J. Brown. I like C.D. Lamb. Again, we chose C.D. Lamb last week for Dallas. I like C.D. Lamb again this week. Dallas Cowboys are going to be at Seattle. Seattle, we're still looking for their secondary. As you can see, while Russell Wilson is playing balls to the wall, playing his ass off, their secondary isn't. And he has to chuck it up a lot because they allow opposing teams to score a lot. So I like C.D. Lamb to do well. I figure they're going to put their best DB on Amari Cooper, which means C.D. Lamb and or Gallup out there. They'll do well for Dallas. I also like Tyler Boyd this week of the Cincinnati Bengals. He's going to be at Philadelphia. Him and Burrow seem to have a connection. I like it. And so look for Tyler Boyd to do well again this week. And they're going to be the Bengals are going to be at Philadelphia. Our sleeper for our receivers this week is going to be Deontay Johnson of the Pittsburgh Steelers. And the Steelers are going to be at home versus Houston. Ben Roethlisberger is still trying to prove that he's got it in his late 30s. So I figure between Deontay Johnson and Eric Ebron, he's going to light up that way. They'll probably try and shut down Juju. And Juju is still going to get his, but look for Deontay Johnson to be open. He's a quality sleeper if you want to use him as a wide receiver 3 or flex. Now, our favorite moment of the week is going to be L Teddy 27's fantasies of the week. This week we have 2 wide receivers this week. Our first fantasy is a wide receiver for the Denver Broncos. A nice piece of dark chocolate. This is going to be Jerry Jeudy, wide receiver of the Denver Broncos. Hair over here. You know we like hair. Anyway, the hair, the dark chocolatey goodness, and all of that. Yeah. With the last name Judy, I figured him to be probably Haitian American. So, and if you know like I know, Haitian Americans are usually working with something down there. Anyway, that's Jerry Jeudy of the Denver Broncos. That's our first one. Our second fantasy of the week is going to be none other than Allen Lazard. He's a wide receiver for the Green Bay Packers. So we had dark chocolate. Now we have not white chocolate, but some nice light chocolate. I guess. Well, it's not white chocolate, but vanilla. We'll call it vanilla. Yeah, light bright. Turn on the magic of colored lights. A nice little light bright for y'all. So I gave y'all some salt and peppers. Some dark chocolate and a light bright. That is Allen Lazard, wide receiver for the Denver Broncos. Not Denver Broncos, Jesus. Green Bay Packers. All over the place. Anyway, I got distracted. I saw somebody walking down the block and they distracted me. A hottie. Anyway, that's all we got this week, y'all. Until next week, let me know how you fare this week in your fantasy leagues. Like I always say, if you got questions about who to start, who to sit, any week, shoot me an email or DM, and I will be more than happy to answer your questions for you. I've had some people do that, and if I need to, if I get a lot, I might do a quick segment during the week for questions that people give me, because I have been getting some questions. So if I need to, I'll make it a segment if I need to. Until next week, y'all, I thank y'all for watching me. That's all I got. Thank y'all for coming. Y'all drive safely. We out.